Hello everyone, welcome back to Open Table Adventures. As always, I am Dan DeBaker, and this is another episode of Table Talks, our series where we talk with some amazing TTRPG content creators from all over. Today I have with me the amazing Amelia Som. Hi Amelia, how are you?
Hello, I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. When we get started, you tell everyone just who you are and what you do.
Yeah, okay, so, hi, my name's Amelia Som. My, always go-to intros, you can find me most places at Amelia Som or by going to links.ameliasom.com. What do I do? I'm just all over the place. I recently started making TikToks again. I usually talk about D&D and tabletop games. I like to do podcasts, like actual play podcasts. I mostly like to appear on other people's things, and I've been known to participate in a Kahoot or shenanigan from time to time. So I'm just kind of here to hang out with people, and strangers on the internet also like to watch me hang out with people. So that's kind of the whole vibe.
Yeah, totally. And what are your pronouns?
Oh. I've gone back to my roots, which is telling people to use whichever pronouns they think are the hottest.
Perfect. Great. Like my liege,
my liege, your honor, your eminent. Haunted one. Whatever just feels right in the moment.
Yeah. No, I think just, hanging out with friends and people enjoying that is probably the best way to exist on the internet, because I feel like there's less pressure that way,
I do like to tell people that I have Tinkerbell disease, which is that if I don't get enough external validation, I die. So I have found that creating content can be a very good source of that. When you put something funny out and then people are like, oh my God, that's funny. You're so funny and hilarious. And then when it flops and I'm like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
A random algorithm hasn't given me validation.
Yeah, it's the algorithm giveth and taketh away at the same time.
So true, yeah.
Have you always been a kind of a performer? Like, did you do theater or anything in school?
No, I haven't done. I had always wanted to. So I'm the sort of person who, even now I tend to have a bunch of projects going on. But when I was in school, I would have, I was like I was like the head of the art club, captain of a robotics team. I did National Honor Society, I did everything. Mm-hmm. And so I never got to do theater, because theater was the one thing that had such a big time commitment. Like, you had to go to, because you can't just not go to rehearsals, and you can't not go to performances. So I did like a little bit in college. Like, our local library has a playwriting competition, and then whoever won got to see their plays performed. That is the most of my theater experience. It was like 3 weeks of practicing a bunch of plays written by like 5th through 12th graders, and that is it. I kind of fell into this because I started playing D&D in college, and one of my friends, who was a film major, for her final project wanted to produce a podcast. And I didn't really know that actual plays existed when I started playing D&D. Mm-hmm. But by the time we were graduating, I had heard of Critical Role, and she was like, "Oh, I'm doing this podcast. I think you play D&D and you're like really fun to be around. Would you like to be in it with me?" And I said, "Sure." So then I kept being on the podcast, and we just wrapped recording our season finale just now. So I did that for about 5 years, well through long after I had graduated. And and then in 2020 I just got bored home during the pandemic, and I didn't have a job anymore, so I just started making TikToks, and the ones where I talked about Dungeons and Dragons took off, and then I just sort of fell into this. Mm-hmm. Here I am.
Yeah. I feel like it is rare nowadays for someone to be like, I got into D&D and then heard about like actual plays and stuff. Like, especially someone within the last 10 years at least, because yeah. Oh yeah.
No, it's funny because I forget the amount of times I had to be taught things. It's like, what do you mean you watch other people play D&D? Like, wouldn't it just be more fun to watch it yourself? And then but my GM, she was like, no, you would really like this show. At that point, I think it was still on the first campaign of Critical Role. And then I worked a job that was mostly just sitting at a desk where I just did spreadsheets back and forth a lot. Very mindless, or like some basic graphic design work. And so I just had Critical Role on like 40 hours a week. And I binged the first campaign in like 2 months. And then I binged the second campaign in like another 2 months. But yeah, it was very, very cool. I mean, obviously I'm a big fan of the medium now, but I was very confused, especially because when I started making the D&D podcast, I didn't know that was a thing that existed. I thought podcasts were where you learned about things like 99% invisible kind of stuff. Like I wasn't even doing fiction. Like the closest, I guess it was like that and like Welcome to Night Vale. Yeah. I was a big like early on fan. So yeah, it's been such an easy medium, and I feel like I take that for granted because I had several years of experience doing actual play. Even if it's like just with my friends from college, by the time that I got an actual like large platform and I was being invited to guest and appear on shows, I was already pretty comfortable. And you know the thing where you like get used to how your voice sounds on recording.
Yeah. I always hated hearing my voice in recordings until I started doing like TikToks and stuff. I think it was just kind of exposure therapy of like, you hear it so much.
Yeah, it's exposure therapy, and then it also does change the way that I talk when I am being recorded. I'm like, oh, I just have to like do this, and then it probably doesn't sound that different to most people, but to me, it makes me not want to like scream when I hear myself play that.
It's like one single like note difference in the tone of your voice, and I totally get that.
And like back before TikTok had auto captions, when you were making your TikTok and typing out the captions, and like you had to hear, like if you made a minute-long TikTok, you have to spend so long just hearing your voice loop. You're right. It's like exposure therapy. You're just like, I don't even know what this is. It's like when you say a word too many times, it loses all meaning. That's how I am about my voice.
It's either exposure therapy or like insanity. I'm not sure which for sure. I would love to. I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Unprepared Casters.
Yes.
That's how. I wanted you to talk a little bit about that and how you got involved with them.
I'll give like a little pitch. So for those of you who don't know, Unprepared Casters is start out D&D, but really just TTRPG actual play. And the whole selling point is that it's very short arcs. So like I mentioned, it took me 2 months to binge Critical Role, and at one point I was watching 80 hours a week of Critical Role. I kid you not. Just to catch up. And so the point with Unprepared Casters was that we're going to do like maximum 8 episodes in an arc, so people can just every few months drop in and not feel like they are lost or feel like they have to catch up on a backlog of content in order to figure out what's going on. So it was started by Gus Rachels and Haley Whipjack, who both met through TikTok, and they started it after just with people from their home games, and then gradually began to expand with people that they met and knew online. I was the first guest, so on Arc 3, I was the first non-home game person to be on the show, which made me feel very happy because I was not on a whole lot of, like, I also felt very, a little left out because I felt like when I started on TikTok, I had like a lot of followers, and I noticed a lot of people who also were making TikToks were being asked to be on all of these streams and guest and perform and things, and no one was really asking me. So it was very, very nice when both Haley and Gus invited me on. And so I guested on Arc 3 and Arc 6. At one point, I even DM'd for Arc 10, and then last summer, Gus decided to step down from the show. It's a lot of work. I mean, basically running that podcast is like having a part-time job in addition to like full-time job.
Yeah.
And a lot of burnout, just a lot of taking care of mental health. So he decided to step down. And year ago, so it's been running since 2021, but like a year or so ago, oh God, it's probably closer to 2 years now. Oh my God, because I just said last summer and this is summer again. How the hell did that happen?
Yeah.
Gus was like, well, if I ever have to leave the show, I don't want you to take my place. So I kind of went into a meeting thinking that I was just going to help out with like social media and graphics. And they're like, well, actually, do you want to do this whole thing? And I said yes. So now I'm a co-host, and we have... the whole thing is just trying out new games and being able to showcase a lot of the amazing people in this space and just again, hang out with friends and find good reasons to hang out with friends.
Mm-hmm.
By the time this episode airs, it will be just after our annual charity stream. So we do a charity stream every year. We raise money for Trans Lifeline. Collectively, over the past 2 years, we raised like $77,000. So my hope is that we get over the 100,000 mark this year, but I don't know because this is coming out after that. So I guess you can just check my Twitter and see how happy I am if you're listening.
Yeah, well, hopefully, good news. We'll put, like, here's how much you made here. Hopefully it's a big old 6-figure number.
We'll see. But yeah, so it's just that's the gist of it. It's like the short form podcast. So it was entirely Dungeons and Dragons. We played God Killer, Wander Home. We're currently doing City of Mist. I guess by now it should be announced. So if it's not announced, then everyone who listens to this podcast gets an early preview. We'll be airing an in-person God Killer recording. Will be our next arc that we did several months ago that I am so excited for because I am very obsessed with God Killer. It's a 2-person RPG made by Connie Chang. It's very fun and sexy. It's just so good.
Connie has the accolade of being the most spotlighted person on this series. Like, I think 4 or 5 people have had them as their, TTRPG spotlight person.
The only time I have played a game with Connie was for the charity stream last year. We had them on as a guest. And, it's like a 2-hour stream, very high strategy. I wasn't even playing with them for most of it. We did, several individual dungeons and then a huge battle royale at the end where I was DMing 16 people, and it was insane.
That's insane, yeah.
But just that short window of time in which I GM Connie, I feel like they're just one of the best players. I'm sure they're also one of the best GMs, but just the dedication to building it. We're just here's some lore. You don't have to, it's a one shot. It's for charity. You just need to make a character. It doesn't super matter. Created this super intensive lore, was just very on top of it with the rules and which making sure that everyone got to shine and also bringing their skills and talents to the forefront. Just incredible command of role play, incredible understanding of rules, and also of the format of that charity stream and what the goals were. And we're having him back this year because he's so amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was just to bring Connie Chang references back around, ride or die for Connie Chang in the minimal interactions I've had.
No, they are the future of TTRPGs. I've been saying that ever since they've been started getting big. No, that's the future right there.
Yeah.
So when it comes to TTRPGs, do you do more as a player or as a GM, or is a good mix of both? Because you've talked about doing both.
Yeah, I think these days. So I mean, collectively, probably more as a player. I mean, there was a time, anytime people ask me, how do you get a group together? I want to find a group to play with. I'm always my first thing is, if you can't find people to play with, you just got to GM. You got to, if you can't find someone, you got to run the game. And then, in my experience, usually someone else in the group will also become interested and eventually will also want to run things.
Yeah.
But these days, I'm mostly a player. So the way Unprepared Casters work is Haley and I kind of trade off being GMs back and forth. So I'm the master of ceremonies for this game of City of Mist, and then Haley will run something and we'll go back and forth. But I think more so these days I'm a player just because it takes a lot of time to GM. There was a time when I was playing in 6 games a week, and I was GMing 2 games and then sometimes a third home game. I do not know why I did that to myself. That was bad.
That's insane, yeah.
And 4 out of those 6 were all streamed performances, either podcast or Twitch or live. Don't do that. But I feel like it just, the way my schedule is, it just necessitates playing more often.
Yeah. It is, yeah. You talked a little about burnout and stuff like that. I feel like it's easier to get burnout as the GM.
Yeah.
Just 'cause, you do more planning, I guess.
Yeah, it takes a lot of after hours planning. And I think it's the thing I really like about working on a podcast is there is a set amount of buy-in from everyone. Like when we have people are, especially when you're like paying someone to do something, right? Like they're less likely or to just not show up or reschedule, or if they do so, it's in advance. And there's also a fixed time limit too, so it's easier to commit to, we're doing exactly 8 sessions and I need 8 nights from you versus we're going to be playing this game. I mean, my longest campaigns lasted like 2 years, like some home games where it's easy to cancel because we're going to be playing this indefinitely.
Yeah.
But it also alleviates the fact that I'm not the only one responsible for scheduling, whereas in like home games or even in smaller productions, a lot of the administrative tasks also fall to the GM.
Yeah.
And that can be stressful. Yeah, it just takes so much more time.
I think that's probably my biggest advice to anyone trying to do, like online production, TTRPGs or otherwise, is to have more than just one person doing everything. Have your scheduling person, having a safety person on like TTRPG streams is really important.
Absolutely. And like with UC, I mean, it was mostly Gus and Haley, and then they have Jared, who is our sound editor. But like since I joined, we have Gus. It's me and Haley. We also have like a full-time, not like full-time like they're hired, but like we have a person whose job is to do safety. We have, an editor. We have Jared editing. There's actually Christian was there before I was there, who edits, like we do talkbacks and Patreon exclusives. So he edits that. Jared edits that. Aram Bartian edits, like does the music editing. Like it's just splitting the load across. We have someone whose job is to do captions. When we're running this charity stream, we have like an entire separate mod team, and that's separate from the in-game safety team, and that's separate from the production team. Which I don't think you need all of that for like you don't need a full team of people for that, but putting that on one person it's not fair to them. It's a lot of mental load in general, but it's also it's a lot of time.
I'd love to let's take a step back from like the TTRPG stuff, but outside of like that, when you have time, since it seems like it takes up a lot of your schedule, what do you like to do like for fun?
It's so crazy because I always tell people, I'm like, I swear I had normal hobbies before COVID. And then I think COVID, like once lockdown happened and everything became so online, like every single thing I do kind of became shifted toward TTRPGs. But in my free time, I love a Kahoot, I love a shenanigan. Abs Kelly and I are always planning some random ass concept. We're currently working on our Route 66 master trip. And other secret things. Yeah, I was like, I don't know where we'll be by then. Don't worry about it. You'll find out.
Yeah, it's fine.
Let's see. I like hanging out with friends. I theoretically like video games. I will play like an hour of a video game, and then I'll just be like, I could be playing Slay the Spire. And then I just play like Slay the Spire till the wee hours of the morning. Really into gardening. I've got my garden set up for the spring. I'm still trying to, I guess it's summer now, still trying to find other places. I found that it's really good for my mental health to play in dirt on a daily basis and weed my garden. So I really like that. Did I spend like probably close to $500 to probably get like 12 tomatoes? Yeah.
Worth it,
yeah,
though.
I did. It's worth it. I don't even like cooking, but I like growing things and I like giving plants to my friends. And then I'm also like, I'm an artist. I went to school for studio art. I realized my hobby is just making like a little bit of progress on 12 different things. So I'm never finished with anything, but after like 3 years, I might be finished with 6 of them.
Yeah. So jack of all trades.
Digital art. Yeah. I'm just kind of playing around. And then I also have like a full-time job, which is just takes most of the time.
Yeah. I think I'm kind of a similar way where I just pick up hobbies every now and then, and like sometimes I'll stick with them, sometimes I won't. You know, a lot of it came during
Yeah.
COVID, like during quarantine. But
Yeah.
mhm.
Like it's like, do I play guitar? Theoretically, have I picked up
Mhm.
that guitar? I pick up that guitar once every 6 months.
Yeah,
But
that's
it's
me
like I
with
have an animation drawing I'm working on. I have a painting that's I'm doing. A trumpet.
which I pick up maybe once every 6 months. Also, this is my
Yeah.
pickup for this 6 month period.
And then I feel like I just did never appreciated when I was younger how much effort it is to exist in a house. Like I swear to God, I'm always just cleaning this goddamn
Yeah,
house.
that's yeah. Like I'm like I just did laundry. Why do I have to do it again? You know, like
Genuinely.
yeah.
And then it's like if I don't fold all of my laundry immediately, then
Hmm.
it goes from one basket. Like I do a two basket floor situation
Yeah,
where I have like the clean clothes and the dirty clothes and the I can wear that pair of jeans again, you know?
yeah.
So,
That's
yeah.
yeah. I where I live, we don't have like laundry in building or like in unit or anything.
Oh
Because I'm in
yeah.
New York, it's like a rare sight to have that. But it's lucky for me because if I had laundry in unit, I would just keep the clothes in the dryer and just take them out of the dryer. Because when I did have laundry in unit, that is what I did when I lived
Yeah.
alone, and it's like that's not healthy. That's not what adults do.
Yeah. That's yeah. No, I do that sometimes, except I have a roommate. So at some point I
Mhm.
do have to like move it or like she moves it whenever,
Yeah.
you know, needs to use it. Yeah, I realize a lot of being an adult is just making you do the tiny like there's like little hacks where it's like this won't make your mental health better, but if you don't do it, it will be so much worse.
Hmm. Yeah.
And laundry is one of those. There's something about like cosplaying a neurotypical person who just takes
Hmm.
their clothes out and folding them and putting them in the drawers, and it's like, God damn it, this does make me feel better. Uh, like I go to the gym in the mornings before work a few days a week, and it's like, ah, shit. Exercise
Yeah.
and going for walks. Like, don't get me wrong. The antidepressants and ADHD medication, those help. I need those,
Hmm.
but you also do still need to get sunlight.
Yeah, the normal like human functions of like yeah, vitamin D and fresh air. Uh,
Yeah. And like
it's
looking at something green
yeah, like it's
if you
we
can.
need to yeah, you need to go touch grass, but not in like a chronically online way, but in just like a for your health way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is I do miss like you know now I live in the city, but I grew up at the beach. And I
Oh,
miss the convenience of like, oh, I can just go to the ocean at any time. Um,
I live in Oklahoma, so I've never experienced that.
yeah.
But it sounds nice.
Hmm.
I can get clay whenever I want. That's what
That's
that's what
that's
I have
nice.
here.
Yeah. I can get a a nice bagel.
Yeah, I
That's
was
you
just
know.
talking about this with my roommate, and you know what's really sad is I
Mm.
can't.
Oh no.
Have because you know some days you wake up and you're like, oh God, I just need a good bagel.
Hmm.
And you can go get one because you live in New York City. If I wake up and all I need to be a happy person is a good bagel, I can't do that. I can
Hmm.
maybe find a kind of decent bagel if I go to the right bakery on the right day, like the right
Yeah.
bagel shop.
If the
But
moon's in the
like
right position, and yeah.
if the room's in the right position and I'm really lucky. But for the most part, I just have to accept the fact that unless I travel like to New York or like out of state,
Hmm.
I just can't get one. And that's like I think maybe the worst thing about living in the South.
Yeah, that's yeah. If it does make you feel any better, I also really can't do that because I have celiac disease. So I have to like
Oh no!
there are good gluten-free bagels in the city luckily, but I do have to like take a
You have
subway to
to
get to
hunt.
them. Yeah.
I would do it. I would drive.
I do it.
Yeah, I was like
um,
sometimes I will drive. I was like I will do a half-hour drive if I know there's something good at the end of it.
yeah. But have you always lived in Oklahoma?
Yeah, basically my whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I traveled a little bit for work after college, and then
Hmm.
now I'm back here. It's fine. It's so inexpensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind doxing myself a little bit because my
Mhm.
PO box is out there, so people can connect the dots. But
Yeah.
I live in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which I think is the best part of Oklahoma. And in case you're
Mhm.
from or aware of Oklahoma listening to this, it is better than OKC. OKC sucks.
I think is every person I know from Oklahoma has been from Tulsa.
Yeah.
That is 3 people, but still.
Hey,
That's like all of
good
Tulsa.
people.
So
We're good people. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, but I've been here my whole life, and I do like to travel though. So I've been to probably, I think, at least 30 states and out of the country a few times. But yeah, I love a road trip.
Same. Yeah. That's one thing I do miss, having a car. Because I don't have one in New York because it's so expensive to have a car in New York City. But I miss, because I love a road trip. Yeah.
Yeah. Parking spaces are like a second rent payment.
Yeah. But I lived in New Hampshire for a little bit, for a summer. And my favorite thing to do was leave. Because I would just get in my car and drive to Maine. Because we were like right on the border of Maine. I would like drive and go to like Portland, Maine, and go see the ocean. Yeah.
I've never been to Maine. I have been to New Hampshire. I've been to New Hampshire in the soaking wet, cold February.
Yeah, I luckily was there in the summer, so it was nice.
Yeah.
It was like it never got above like 70, which was, lovely.
God, that sounds nice.
Yeah, but I grew up in South Carolina.
I love South Carolina.
I grew up in Myrtle Beach.
Okay, I've been there a few times.
Dirty Myrtle.
Golf? Mini golf capital of the world, is it not?
Yeah, that has more golf courses and mini golf courses per capita than anywhere in the world, which is a terrifying fact.
It is terrifying. I hit my first hole-in-one at a mini golf course in Myrtle Beach, which felt very, very appropriate.
That's nice. Yeah. That's I miss the food in the South. I really do. Like, I miss a good sweet tea.
A good sweet tea. Also, like, South Carolina. So when I was traveling for work, I was in South Carolina a lot, but mostly like in the Charleston area too. And South Carolina is also one of, like, because Tulsa is like in between Texas and Kansas City, so we're like I can get good barbecue. But like South Carolina barbecue is like its whole own like style, and it is also so good.
Yeah, I lived in both South and North Carolina, which is like warring barbecue styles. Like, it's always like that's like since the Civil War, that's the biggest conflict that South Carolina's been a part of. I like both. Both are fine.
Yeah.
That's if I had to choose one, I would choose South Carolina barbecue though. And
I had. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say I don't think I had really barbecue in North Carolina. I mostly just went to Cookout.
Cookout is great. I do miss Cookout. That was my 3 a.m. in college. Everyone's studying or like just can't sleep. We're gonna go get a milkshake and a $5 meal.
Yeah. For us, that was Whataburger.
Oh yeah.
So good.
Going back to, I guess, to like TTRPG stuff.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
If we need to.
Listen.
You just talk more about fast food chains. I got a cherry limeade from Sonic right here.
I literally just had dinner and now I'm hungry again. So, but so when it comes to like the characters that you make, and I guess the games that you run as well, do you find a difference between what you make for like that you're presenting online versus what's just for like your home games?
Ooh, I feel like, I don't know if this is true. It's been a long time since I've had a home game. Like over a year. I'm about to start one that meets like once a month, and it's so funny because we're all of us in this group are like everyone has cool characters and the world is cool, and it's like I wish I could play this more, but also I only agree to this because I know it's once a month and I can handle that. I feel like in home games, not that I feel pressure in a negative way, but whenever I make a character for a stream, I want them to feel not only unique to other characters that I've played, on the off chance that there are people who are following me from one production to the next, which I don't think happens very often. But I think there's also like more of more of a consideration for either making something that actively showcases the game mechanics or kind of intentionally is playing with the game mechanics in a way that might be unconventional. I think there's kind of more of a desire on my part to think a little bit outside of the box. Whereas with home games, I can be a little bit more vanilla. Like, I play the highborn elf from a noble family who was kicked out because they're using dragon magic, and dragon magic is frowned upon in that game, and it's just like, fish out of water kind of thing. Whereas I don't know, I'm in another production I'll do later, playing Tales of the Valiant, where I play a mechanist who is slowly turning into a robot and dealing with that, which I feel like is a little bit different. But yeah, I think also with home games, because there's more, usually because they're longer or they're more freeform, I tend to leave a lot more character points loose. I kind of get to experience the character at a slower pace, whereas for a production, I want to be very clear that I have plot hooks that the DM can use to connect it to the game. I want to make an interesting character, but I want to, not that I don't care about this in a home game, but for a production, I want to make a character that can very easily work with the group and showcase other characters, especially if it's for a shorter format. Because you don't necessarily have as much time to really go from being like a loner to opening up to everyone to to go on that journey. So that's definitely a consideration that I have. But other than that, I think the one commonality I have across all of my characters is that no matter how different I make them, no matter how lonely or intelligent or silly or dumb or charismatic or unwise or strong, I have advanced the plot disease. And so often fatal that if you put a red button in front of me and say, hey, something bad is going to happen to your character if you press this red button, but it is very interesting, I will slam that button a billion times. So I think that's the commonality. But just as far as the difference between home games and streams, I think I tend to be a little bit more I think I tend to be way more descriptive and prescriptive in how I define my characters for home games, because I don't feel as compelled to make something that is entertaining for an audience that is more than just the people at the table. Yeah.
That's totally valid. I call myself, whenever I do get the chance to be a player, I call myself the GM's pet, where if they need they need someone to advance the plot, they need someone to press that button, you can give me the wink wink nod nod, and I'd be like, let's do this.
I also am very famous, I've in my home games especially, I kill my characters all the time, and it's not intentional, but it's not, I don't actively avoid it because I just love doing dumb stuff. I love it. It's just so fun. It just hits my brain right. But also I love it when my little guys end up kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
That's, and for me as a player, that's genuinely enjoyable. That is not true for everyone. Recently, at this time of recording, I'm in a game that's having a lot of eldritch horror things happen, and so I'm using this kind of weird magic where every time I cast a spell, I have basically just kept getting more madness because I roll low. That's the other thing, is the dice are always rolling in my favor as a person, not in my character's favor.
Yeah.
So I have a +5 to wisdom. Tell me why I couldn't roll above a 7,
Yeah.
But I had this character thing happen, and this entity, it's an evil moon, because it's fantasy, of course the moon's weird shit's going on, was prying into my character's brain and trying to eldritch tentacle and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the DM, Offbeat Outlaw, was after the game was yeah, I just know I can, anytime I need to find a character to do something like that too, I just do go for Amelia.
Yeah. I'm famous for, whenever we're doing the final battle, I will message the GM and be like, if you want someone to have a big heroic sacrifice, I you can do that. Like, if you need to kill someone, I will do it. Like,
I just feel like Janet from The Good Place being like, kill me, kill me.
Yeah.
And then all my friends are like, no, we don't want your character to die. And I'm like, me neither, but like, what if they did?
Yeah. Like, me as the player is like, kill me. But the character's like, please, no, I have children. You know, like, that's... Yeah, totally.
And then, oh my god, although that is relatively new. When my first D&D character perma died, I, again, hadn't watched or been exposed to actual play, so I was just playing it with my friend. I was walking back from my friend's apartment and realized that I was like tearing up and crying.
Yeah.
I was like, I made up a person and then got sad about them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting too because I was in college and like one of my professors like was walking by and asked me about something, and in my mind I'm like, I can't talk about this. Brynvir's dead forever.
Yeah, it's like, oh, my imaginary friend just died is what happened.
My imaginary friend,
so upset about it.
My imaginary friend just died and got turned into a zombie and had to be stabbed by a unicorn so she could stop being a zombie. And she's never gonna go and find her mentor who disappeared.
Yeah.
You can tell it's been like, what, like 6 years, and I'm still very normal about it.
Yeah. I think my one thing with character death is I always like them to be meaningful. Like, I hate when it's just like a random fight and a character dies.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I like it when it's in like, you know, the big finale or like in like at least like a mini boss situation. And I hate when it's like that character's story is like unsatisfyingly ended, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this almost gets into safety tool conversation about like talking about where people are comfortable with character death, like from a player perspective, but also especially if you're doing something for an audience. I mean, I know we always talk about people playing. It's like you're playing for you're not playing for the audience, in the sense that you know, whether or not if you ever set out with making something with the intention that it'll be popular and like you'll get famous, you're going to be disappointed if you go through, and as opposed to if you go through making something because you like the process of making it and spending time with the people that you're with. But whenever I GM for people, in addition to, and like kind of outside of the discussion of safety tools, like, you know, what do you want from this story? Right? Like, if you're a person who wants your character to die, it's like, are you okay with that? Do you really want it to die? But one thing I always do when I'm a GM is like, I don't ever want to accidentally kill your character. I don't think it's fun, but I also don't think it's as interesting, especially for like, depending on the kind of show. It could be very silly if it's like the right kind of show, but I don't want to take people off guard because that makes me feel bad. I just don't think it's as good of stakes for the story if character death is on the table, to put someone in a situation where they can prepare and they can plan. Because I also think that makes that sweeter. If you do everything right and you still die, or as if you're playing something like D&D where it does come down to a roll of the dice, you can choose to, like, you are just at the mercy of random chance. It's also why I like games like Powered by the Apocalypse systems that reward failure, where you can actively choose as a player to make that sacrifice in the moment when you didn't have to, or choose to like power through and sacrifice something else. I think
Blades in the Dark does that really well too, the kind of like sacrifice aspects of it.
And like the vices system. Oh my god, I played this one game of Blades in the Dark where my character's vice was like getting tattoos, and it was great.
I just got the physical book like a week ago, so it's just sitting on top of my shelf.
Yeah, but yeah, I think, like, again, safety notwithstanding, because I also just consider that like a baseline of play. That's what I always think. Especially, it's always funny when you make or when I make TikToks about something, and then someone in the comments will be like, I would hate if someone did that in my game, and I'm like, well, I'm not in your game.
Yeah.
And newsflash, if you were in my game and you said you hate that, I wouldn't do it, but you're not, and I think it's funny. So like, yeah, obviously the like consent of the table aside, I think, like, for the kinds of stories that I want to tell, I also think when you're doing a home game, your audience as a GM is the players, and I guess you're same if you're a player as the rest of the table. So like, making the experience for the players as interesting and exciting as it is for the characters that are going through the story.
Yeah.
I think we're playing with raising stakes with how you give out information, and like just fun, silly mechanics that make the game engaging outside of just what's happening in the game. That's always really fun. Like it's like one of the best feelings if you get to GM of making characters in a world that people are so invested in, even though in my opinion, I do like the groundwork, but everyone else is really bringing it. But you get the credit. Everyone always thanks you.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like, I just showed up. That's, I was like,
I just showed up and put some guys around. You're the ones who are doing it.
That's good. I always say it's always like, there's nothing wrong with you as a player going to your GM and saying, this is what I want to happen with my character,
Yeah.
Like telling them, like, this is the arc I would like to take them across. Can you help me with that? And there's like, that's not only is there nothing wrong with that, but I strongly encourage that.
Right. Especially because, and it's the same thing that happens like in characters. Like, it is so cool for you to have character secrets. It's so cool for you to be dark and mysterious. It is less fun for you to go 6 months of playing a game and no one know like anything about your character because they haven't asked. Because they didn't know to ask and things. It's like sometimes you do have to tell people like what your expectations are for a game so they at least know what direction they should be looking in. Yeah.
I feel like that is and like should be wrapped in with like safety and consent in gaming, like expectations. Yeah.
I mean, and this is one thing that I don't like on a lot of popular safety forums where they ask you to rate, like, what rating is the game from, like, G to PG to R? Because I'm like, unfortunately, I also know, I always say this as, like, a joke. I'm like, I know the MPAA rating. So I'm like, if we say PG-13, we only get one fuck.
Yeah.
And, like, we can't do that.
In a non-sexual way. Yeah.
In a non-sexual way. Yeah. But I think safety tools are really, they're an excellent foundation, and they also are a good reminder because it is incredibly convenient for the GM just to have a list of things to reference and go through when it comes through like consent sheets. And then also when it comes through like having X cards or red, green, like, the color system, or like literally just going like having some sort of thing, or like breaks and check-ins. But like in addition to that, communication should always be like these should be tools to facilitate larger conversations when necessary. And safety it's about comfort, and it's about like obviously consent, but it is also about enjoyment. In the same way where you would want to know whether or not everyone else at the table is really taking power building, if it's going to be rules heavy or rules light when you make your character. Like, every part of the game should just kind of be ongoing, and like you as a player should reach out to your other players and your GMs, not even about things that's like, oh, like, did I push too far on this, or is it okay if I romance your PC? I mean, you should, but just as a general, like, hey, these are the vibes I'm getting from my characters. Is that what you want? Because I like this, or I don't like this, or like I'm planning on going in this direction. Even if it's not like I'm planning on romancing your character. Like, it doesn't have to be very explicit points to be worth checking in.
Yeah, because like it is, it's collective storytelling, and I always like to think of it as way like, if it was just one person telling the story, they wouldn't, they are communicating with themselves of their expectations for all the different characters and stuff. So I feel like that above the table should be done also, for sure.
Right. It's like, if we are all cooking together, you gotta ask people before you start throwing a bunch of clove and shit. They might like clove. They might not want that kind of clove, but also they might just need to know before they go adding their spices, before they add clove, and then it's too much. Like, it's just conversation. That's like the thing, is so much of a good table. And I always tell this like to people who are new and starting out, when they ask, oh, how do I find a group to play with, or these sorts of things. Like, you will have a much better time playing with people who you enjoy and who respect your boundaries and who are kind, even if none of you know the rules right and you don't do anything correctly, than you will with a group of assholes who are doing everything to a letter and will teach you a lot about the mechanics of the game. Like, at the end of the day, we are all humans with one life to live. Is this how you want to spend 4 hours a week?
Yeah, exactly. Great. I think that's all the like questions and stuff I have for you, which does bring us to the game portion of the video. So I have a game that is actually it is inspired by a couple of videos you did, I think last week or the week before, I can't remember. The game is called Plenty of 20s, where you did two videos where you talked about, you did like different ways to say like dirty 20 and natural 20, which I found hilarious.
Deadass. Okay, one thing, I know people see the video. I see the number count. I can see how many people watch the video. It always takes me off guard whenever someone references a video and I was like, you saw that? I was at an alumni event for my college, and someone who I have not spoken to since college or even seen came up to me about like that video, and I was like, that's illegal. Don't. Yeah.
Anytime someone I went to high school with says, "Oh yeah, you came up on my FYP," I'm like, I need to kill you now. Like that's yeah.
Whenever TikTok suggests people in your comments, and I'm like, there are like professional contacts.
Yeah.
In there.
But yeah, it's called Plenty of 20s. I have here 5. These are basically 5 like scenarios that you just rolled a 20 on. Okay. And I want you to give this 20 a moniker like you did in those videos.
Okay. Yeah. I thought this was just going to be math facts. Great.
I could not do that. I'm bad at math.
I love math. Yeah. I'm like the only one. It's like me and like maybe 3 other people in this space who love math.
As I'm good at recipe math, like conversions, and that's about it. So
that's all you need.
That's all I need. Yeah. So yeah, this just a fun improv-y style game. I'm ready to get started if you are.
Yeah, let's get started.
Okay. Scenario number 1 is you have just convinced the shopkeep to give you a great deal on a new set of magic armor, and you just rolled a 20. What kind of 20 is that?
Oh, fuck. I'm at the other side of it. Shit. Okay, give me a sec. I'm gonna sit here for a minute. I won't let you give it to me, and I can't think of anything. Okay, I just got in a very good deal. Oh, that's a Kohl's Cash 20.
Yeah. That is a Kohl's Cash 20. I was like, it's got to be something like Macy's, Kohl's Cash, like some coupon style deal.
All I could think of was the Kia Summer Sales event, and that doesn't apply here.
It could. I feel like armor, cars, they could go hand in hand.
Could, yeah.
Cool. Number 2 is you get a big hit in on the BBEG, but they still have just a little bit of health left. So you did lots of damage, but they're still standing, unfortunately.
But there's just a little bit left.
Yeah, which we've all been there for sure, and it's always so disappointing.
Yeah. No, I feel like I could do better than Evil 20. Give me a sec.
You got it.
Most of the... I'm trying to think. Let's think most of the way there.
We'll put in some non-copywritten Jeopardy music.
Yeah, right. Fuck. No, and I want to get this right. I may not think quickly, but I'll think good. Fuck. No, I can do better than that. Yeah, the fact is, it took me so long to come up with those. I just had a running notes app of like anytime I thought of another 20.
I mean, if you'd like to use one of the ones that you used in those videos, you totally can, if they apply.
Yeah, both of you think I remember anything.
I was like, if you remember
anything as soon as it comes out of my mouth. Not a half pint 20. That is... I do feel like that might be a gluten-free 20.
That tracks. As someone who's gluten-free, I can tell that's what that feels like. Where, gluten-free bread is like, it's, you get most of it, but there's still just a little bit left.
There's just a little bit left.
Yeah.
Or that's a 20 that brushes and doesn't floss.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
I get that. That's silly. Yeah. Number 3 is you are able to disguise yourself to mix and mingle in with a group of nobles at a fancy ball.
Ooh.
Which is I love a ball.
I mean, honestly, that's a Cinderella 20.
That is a Cinderella 20. Yeah, that's a gotta be home by midnight 20.
Yeah, that's a bibbity bobbity 20.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. I do ball and masquerade episodes are my favorite to do.
Listen, that's what I should have said. Every TTRPG worth its salt will have one shopping episode that's unnecessarily descriptive and detailed to the point that every other time you go to the shop, the GM's like, nope, we're not role-playing this. And a masquerade ball. Yeah.
And everyone has to describe and like go on Pinterest and find their outfits for that. Yeah. Number 4, you are able to tell that the party's most trusted companion NPC is lying about their past and their intentions. There's a mole in your group. There's a little stinker.
Okay. My first thought to Judas, that's a Judas 20, and then I was thinking, I can't think of any fun references from Jesus Christ Superstar to make that be fun, because all that's playing is, that's a holy roller, because I'm still in love with Judas, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm just thinking, Judah.
Well, as soon as you said betrayal, that's just what was playing in my head.
Yeah, that's valid. That makes sense. I will take that for sure. Okay, this is the last one. You have cleared a series of complicated climbs and jumps and other athletic skills while going up a mountain.
Ooh. It could be a Hercules 20 because it can go the distance. If you did a lot of shit, it could be a Rube Goldberg 20 because there was a lot of random things going into it. It could be a Guts 20. An aggro 20, like the aggro crag.
Oh, that just brought me back.
Yeah. For the charity stream last year, I made it Guts themed, even though neither Haley nor Gus had heard of Guts. I was like, trust me, for a niche percentage of the audience, this is gonna crush it. They're gonna kill it. And then Matt Denkels made a song based off of the Guts theme song because I was talking to him in a Discord call, and he was like, "You mean like this?" And I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but yeah, I have a very storied history with Guts.
I feel like an aggro Guts 20 that works for me. Yeah. Totally. Yeah, there you go. Good job, all 5.
Cool. Amazing.
I do think my favorite is a Cole's Cash 20. That's a good one.
I think the Cole's, we definitely peaked there for sure.
Yeah, which is that was the first one. But
yeah. Look, sometimes first one's best one.
Yeah, that's your brain is fresh. Great. That brings us now to the TTRPG Spotlight section. We'll give you a chance to talk about some amazing TTRPG content happening that you want people to be excited about. What do you got for us there?
Okay, so again, this will be just after our charity stream, which is like the big thing I usually point people toward. But we will have that new arc where we're playing God Killer come up soon, which is very exciting. And then I just a few days ago, we'll have released this Kobold Press sponsored Tales of the Valiant campaign. For Roll For Initiagive. We're raising money for Doctors Without Borders. I get to be playing their new Mechanist class, which is like if you played an artificer but who fucks. It's really exciting. It's a very fun character and a great time. And I'm with like Jesse Jerdak and Ginny D and like Havatica and Katie, like KP11 Studios, just a lot of great people. But yeah, you should go check that out. You can find me most Fridays on Offbeat Outlaws YouTube channel if you want to see us play in a level 20 D&D asterisk campaign. It's D&D with a lot of random ass power leveling rules that Michael's come up with. And then I just doxed Offbeat, but sorry. But he said it sometimes. That's my bad.
We can bleep it, it's fine.
Yeah, we can bleep it. But yeah, I think those are the big things that I have going on right now. Unprepared Casters, that's new episodes every Monday, video on Patreon, podcast everywhere else. Roll For Initiagive, which is on Renegade Science Teacher's YouTube channel, which will air on Wednesdays, and that's an in-person record. Guys, the battle maps for that game are some of the coolest shit I've ever seen. Like, genuinely, like one of the largest maps I think maybe that's been used in a recorded actual play. It's crazy. But yeah, so Mondays Unprepared Casters, Wednesdays Renegade Science Teacher Roll For Initiative, Fridays Offbeat Outlaws YouTube, and then I don't know, maybe I'll throw something else in there. Maybe I don't have enough free time and I need to get rid of it. So.
You have a little bit on your schedule. You have one white space you need to right. Taylor Swift Blank Space Baby right there. Yeah. Great. And then drop your like socials where people can find you, just like you as you.
Yeah, me as me is just everywhere is Amelia Som, except for Twitter, which is Amelia_Som, in a long-running beef I've had for over a decade. Amelia Som, links.ameliasom.com. One of these days, I'll start selling shit online, and you can buy postcards and other random things. But yeah, Amelia Som, that's me.
That is you, and thank you so much for being here and for talking with me. I had such a good time.
Yeah, me too. This is really fun.
And I hope all of you had a good time watching us shoot the shit for the last hour or so. Make sure you check out Amelia wherever you can find them. All of the links and stuff will be down below. Make sure you stick around here at Open Table Adventures, where we have more interviews, recipes, actual plays and one-shots, and so much more. As always, I've been Dan DeBaker. You can find me at Dan_the_Baker. I got it. Anywhere I want you to find me, you can always find me here at Open Table Adventures. And you are always welcome to pull up a seat. Bye-bye.